Mina can get on her soapbox and her high horse right now because Verona held Juve to a draw, but then Juve bounced back from that draw with a 3-0 win over Spezia, who we've praised on the pod this season. And guess who made a difference? Both Federico Bernardeschi and Alvaro Morata. Over to you, Mina.
When it comes to Bernardeschi, I feel like, I have started to agree with Matteo. I have sort of tried to drop my guilt. I feel so much guilt when it comes to Bernardeschi. I feel like he was so badly treated in the sense that he's just been shuttled into so many different roles, and he's been rather hideous in the black and white stripes, amazing for the national team, amazing for Fiorentina. And finally, we get a performance of the real Bernardeschi, and it was a fantastic performance. But Morata is where I want to focus on because I feel like this player gets overlooked at a lot because he doesn't really have a brand name. And there's a lot of talk about all these great, your Lautaro Martinez, your sort of second strikers. A lot of people talk about all these guys that make the difference. Awesome, and I read about all the time. And I just feel like Morata is almost seen as the guy that, you just part of your squad, sometimes does it, He was the Champions League group stage top scorer alongside Erling Haaland. Alongside, if we talk about, Lukaku either assists or scores every 80 minutes. Yeah. Ibrahimovic either assists or scores every 82 minutes. Morata's 88 minutes. I mean, he has been so effective when he's played. His absence has been so keenly felt. And it's not because he's the guy who's like, really knows what to do with the ball all the time. But on a tactical level, he actually helps Pirlo play his game because he applies so much pressure up front that he raises the center of gravity. For so long against Spezia, even against Verona, you just felt like Ronaldo was so resigned to this team being so disconnected, no help. He was constantly like, come up, help. Because, at the end of the day, they are him and Kulusevski are two players that aren't really number 9s, and they are being played there. Juventus are missing a striker, somebody who applies that pressure. And I think Morata has learned how to assist, who knows how to score goals. We've always known how to make a difference in the big matches, in the Champions League, for Real Madrid, for Juventus. In fact, against Bayern, when he was first with Juventus, Joshua Kimmich called him one of the hardest, in fact, the hardest striker he's ever had to play against, because he doesn't know how to stop him. He has so many weapons in his arsenal, and I think he really fits Pirlo's tactics. Now, what I really want to get into is the abuse that Pirlo is getting. He doesn't understand. This team has no instructions. They don't seem to have a tactical strategy. And I'm not here to absolve him and say to you that this is the world's greatest, coach. But he's played 20 matches. He's been in charge of 20 matches. And at the end of the day, he is without Giorgio Chiellini, Leonardo Bonucci, Arthur, Quadrado, Alessandro in the beginning of the season. For much of it, Frabotta has become a regular household name, and he's an under-23 player. He has been without Morata. He has been without Dybala. You try to tell me what would happen if any other team has had to play without 7 starters in their lineup.
Yeah, but any other team still doesn't have world-class players because you have
keep
more
saying
depth.
But there comes a time when you're wondering
it's
whether
against Verona and Spezia. Like, every team's dealt with injuries this season at some course. Every team has had half their lineup missing. You can't make that excuse, especially not for Juventus, who have that wage bill and have those players.
Because we've already agreed that this midfield is rubbish. So who are the bench players for your midfield? Because when you're thinking about Fagioli and Dragusin, this is no longer squad depth. This is your under-23 side. So tell me,
Fagioli's actually done well. I think Fagioli should play more. I like Fagioli when he's out there. I don't think Fagioli's like, oh my God, we're sending a kid from the street. Fagioli looks actually pretty competent.
You can't talk about Fagioli and then be like, I can't believe Juventus are not winning all their matches.
Well, look at who's around him.
You can say they should win over Spezia, but I'm sorry, against Hellas Verona, no.
You have $500 million of players out on the pitch, even if Fagioli's out there. You have Chiesa and Kulusevski and Morata and Ronaldo. So we have to cry for you when you're without Ibrahimovic and your Çalhanoğlu. No, and Milan continued doing well without those players, and Milan have nowhere near the depth of Juventus. And I'm not going to penalize. If you're trying to get me to go after Pirlo, I'm not going to do it. I feel bad for him because he was put in a situation that's a lose-lose. Trying to win your 10th consecutive Scudetto, it can only go down from here. If he gets knocked out of the Champions League, it's a failure, even though you need luck in the Champions League. If you don't win the Scudetto for the 10th time in a row, it's a failure because you're expected to. It's almost seen as an oversight. I actually feel bad for Pirlo, and I'm not going to go at him because the people who should be criticized are the ones above. above.
No, but
not Ronaldo,
no, listen,
who
you're
scored
right
a
about
goal a game.
It is
not
a failure.
Pirlo, who never managed
his son's
five
I'm
aside.
here to. Okay, can I just
So you two are actually agreeing.
We actually are.
This is it, but you were let me speak.
No, because I'm not having the injuries as an excuse. I'm sorry. No,
I'm sorry. It is an excuse because to not have Dybala and Morata for most of your season is a huge loss to any team.
Dybala wasn't even playing half the games for the last few seasons. He comes for half a season. He's the MVP, but the other half
because there's Mandzukic available. There was Higuain available. There was other Douglas Costa available.
Listen, do you know what? No, I'm going to come in here.
Can I wait? Hold on. Before we go into all of this, I'm sorry, I was interrupted. Please, can I just finish what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm not here to tell you like, oh yeah, this means that it's fine if Juventus comes sixth. No, it's a failure if they're out of the Champions League, and it's a failure if they're out of Serie A and not winning it. I absolutely agree with that. I'm just saying to you that you cannot blame Pirlo for not having a tactical strategy when he's missing so many key starters. It doesn't matter against Spezia, you should always win. And they did eventually when they got just 2 players back into that team. But against Juric and Hellas Verona, I think it becomes a harder sell. Now, all I'm saying to you when it comes to this is don't judge Pirlo. This is a team that has a lot of strength in centre-backs and it has a lot of strength in wide players. He's not a terrific coach, but I don't want to make sweeping statements about someone who's only had 20 games in charge. When he has had players available to him, he has managed some impressive performances. He's defeated Barcelona. He won his group in Champions League. He's won the Supercoppa. He's lifted a trophy already. And it weren't against rubbish teams. They were against Napoli. He defeated Inter in the Coppa Italia as well this year. So I don't want to be like, okay, let's jump on this. But I do think there needs to be some sort of, okay, he's missing 7 starters. Let's give this guy a break and let's maybe blame management.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.